Peace and love. If anyone is out there, the more I say, I'm going to try to start either my Tuesday or Wednesday stream early, the more consistent I am at starting it late. Go figure, right? So I'm going to say also what I'm putting in the chat, which is um, that if anyone is interested in getting the link to join me on the panel or to call in, that they can let me know. As a matter of fact, when a person wants to call in, they want to be anonymous a lot of times. Future teller, peace and love to you. All right. Thanks for the hearts and the gifts and the ring. um, well, when I'm talking about this morning, I'm going to go back to my thought about the call in, is that time don't wait on nobody. And I don't, if anybody never heard that, if there's anyone who never heard that, I'd be surprised. That's a truth and a cliche, I think you might call it, but I've been hearing that for a long time. Time don't wait on nobody. All of my grandparents said that. Okay, and I realized. I thank you for saying that, because um, a lot of times people come in and they listen to a stream while they're working, because we double task. we don't um, we don't we don't just sit up and listen. Sometimes if we're doing that because we're going to sleep, maybe. But again, time don't wait on nobody. so so we be trying to multitask. That was what I wanted to say. But sometimes with calling in, the matter is that for some people, because I was also one of those people, a person might be having a session, a stream, and they're talking about some stuff and you're multitasking. You might be able to get on the phone and keep it moving, um, but you might not want to share your uh, who you are, because maybe what you want to say is a aha moment, but it could be a social excuse me, it could be a social I don't know the word, but it could be a situation where you're talking about something that is in opposition to the host, and it could be something that is just not going to come across politically correct. And you have to kind of be careful. I really did not, and I still don't really contribute to social medias very much because of the level of privacy that you give up, and that's really important to me. So not right now, but after I talk for a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and go get my phone, and I'm going to just put the call in number up, just because I wanna I wanna make that option available, just in case someone would call in and want to have some say. So time don't wait on nobody. One of the things that happened to me when I started working at my genealogy, and I want to start with the story of that, is For many years, I asked questions about my family, where we were from, why people would come here to my grandparents' house to stay for short periods of time, but long enough to notice that the spare bedroom was a rotation and people would come to visit. And at the time that I'm remembering, I was very young, maybe 6 or 7. And I would remember different family coming to visit and staying, but maybe for a summer or just long enough for you to really feel their presence. You could really feel what the house was like, meaning you could tell if someone was here because they were coming to visit Aunt Dale, which is my grandmother Ludella. And you could tell if someone was here and they were very quiet and kind of shut in. And you could tell if here because it was some maybe family event and you would have people both up and downstairs and visitors coming to the house, just probably a reunion maybe, but I was too young to know what kinds of events. It could be funeral, it could be a wedding, but this house has always been the place where everybody comes to, and it still is, which is why it is sentimental to me and very difficult to picture letting go. Um, so I would ask questions as I was growing up about who people were and why we didn't go there, not realizing that my great grandmother and grandfather did go there. They would take road trips and go back to Paris, Texas, or Lamar County, or Choctaw, Oklahoma, uh, and and I see the evidence of that in pictures. So they would go, but I guess it was kind of difficult to just pick up and take the whole family there. For the most part, people would come here. Um, so I asked questions, and I was interested. I wanted to know about my family. Akia, hey Kia, peace and love to you. I'm talking about my subject that I'm going to stick to today is that cliche, the old time saying and truth, time don't wait on nobody, and how we have to take advantage of the opportunity to talk with our elders, not just our family, with our elders, and how this talking to elders became something that I do. So I always wanted to know about, I was curious because it was sort of not taught and just understood who we are. If you asked questions, you would get an answer, but you did not have sit downs where you say, this picture is your great grandmother or your great grandfather. You did not have, good morning, LaShawn. Peace and love to you. I'm talking about how time don't wait on nobody, how we've been hearing it all of our lives, how true it is and how important it is to talk to the elders. So I don't know where I'm going to leave off of that story, but I wanted to tell my experience. So I hung out around the old people because the old people were interesting. Just watching them sit in the rocking chairs on the back porch, for example, or the chair, not maybe not a rocking chair, snapping green beans, or in some cases, just smoking a pipe and just looking out over the yard and just kind of rocking and or just even sitting there, and how they could just do that and just be very content and deep in thought, whatever it was they were thinking. I mean, you could be running up and down the stairs, because we did that a lot, sliding on those wood, uh, down those wood rails. Please tell me somebody know about that. LaShawn, that's just one of the most amazing things, right? Talking to them, right, and getting on their nerves. I got slapped on the back of the neck so many times, and I had to learn not to ask certain questions, because sometimes it may have been a secret, because the house would change when some of our house guests would come here, and well, I wanted to know who is that, you know, and so I was really young asking questions first of all, and I learned at a very young excuse me, learned at a very young age that you have to be careful and just watch. So, P. Parker, hi. Peace and love to you. Grand Rising. I am talking about how time don't wait on nobody. Oh, thank you, future teller. I am so happy to hear. I knew it had to be in other places, but you kind of limit it to your own environment, and you kind of don't talk about these things so much. We used to slide down those back. The back porch is enclosed now, so my grandchildren don't get on my nerves doing that kind of stuff. But those wood porches with those banisters, and they painted those banners. Some places don't paint them, so you got splinters to deal with. But these banisters were painted, and we was sliding down those banisters, running back up to the top of the stairs, sliding down those banisters. I just the thought of we could have fell over the side, because anyway, it was quite it was quite amazing. And so they'd be out there, and they would be sitting on the porch, and he had a radio on top of the refrigerator. Sometimes that radio might be playing. The back doors were always open, and obviously I'm remembering the summers more than, or the weather conditions here in Chicago. Obviously I'm remembering the seasons when people would travel most, which would be more than likely the summer seasons. But I kind of have a hard time remembering being when it's really cold. And that's probably because my fondest memories are outside. LaShawn says, and there you go. LaShawn, you ain't never lied. He said, I know where you're going. You said, your grandpa used to, my grandpa let me know on the side. Yeah, and grandma was gossiping. So there you go. So hey, that phone ring. I hear my grandmother. She say hello, and I get to moving because I'm going to sit somewhere nearby. I wanted to know, and so that's funny. But you know what? Thank goodness we got enough sense, because it was a lot of secrets going on sometimes. people, Chief Sabi, the indigenous higher power in the house. Peace and love, Chief. So, thank goodness, some of us were inquisitive enough to deal with and be patient enough to want to be around the old people. And I know a lot more about names and people who, now that I'm doing genealogy, I can associate their faces. I'm a little more capable of understanding. Oh, now I know who that was, and that was, so quiet here. Now I know who those children who are now adults, and we don't see anymore, because now I'm doing the genealogy. So when I say that time don't wait on nobody, and how true that is, and how important it is to talk to the elders, I'm not in any way I'm saying it because it's real and it's true. So what happened to me in starting my genealogy finally, because I'd asked for years, and I figured they got it. I say, hey, I want to, they can I start up my own family tree? And people would say, oh, I got one started, I'll get it for you. And they put it off and put it off. And then I have a grandparent leave us. And then I started on someone else. Hey, I want to do the family tree. But I wasn't, life was happening to me too. It was happening with me. I was traveling and moving around. And although it was a steady uh, concern of mine, I wasn't pushing the issue as much as I should have. And one after the other of my opportunities were going. And I finally said to my mom, I want to do a family tree. I want to start a family tree, my own, that I can have, I can see. And then you have the events of Ancestry.com and these DNA tests and all of these things happening. And I'm like, Mom, you keep telling me that. Give it to me if you have it. And finally, I had to go into her phone and get some phone numbers. What I realized is that sometimes people might have a tree started. Maybe they don't know where it is right now, for real. But the real part of this truth is some of them are embarrassed because they don't have a tree started. They let time go by, and they took taking it for granted. And then the information is gone. And we're so busy, and these next generations are so busy. They're so busy already. At 5 and 6, they're in the phones. And let's just face it, the elders now are working. They're not porch sitting as much. Now the back porch is enclosed and nobody's sitting out there gazing out over the yard into the big trees and just thinking, waiting for some young person to come up and say, who was your mama? And who was hers? And who was your daddy? And who was his? So we have to take the initiative to have our young folk get interested. So I wrote down a couple of things that I wanted to say about talking to old people. And that's how it started for me. I started calling people out of my mom's phone and asking questions. And it was a bit rough at first, like, wait a minute now. That's my husband, and I handle, he's not well, I handle most of his affairs, so I can't really let you speak to him right now. And you're whose daughter again? Whose granddaughter? And I would have to explain over and over because, the truth is anybody could be on the other side of that phone line, right? People are nervous about that. The relationships are different. So I started working on my tree and I started getting somewhere too. And my mom, she went into a rehabilitation care center, and there are a lot of old people that kind of wind up in that environment. And if you ask, do you know anything about the Indians? Are you from Chicago? They'll say, no, no, I came here. I was from Mississippi. I lived down there and went to the military. And you say, oh, okay. So how'd you wind up here? Those people want to talk. They'll be sitting there just as quiet and content. You think they wouldn't want to be bothered? But if you just ask, many of them would love to tell you their story. So I'm going to suggest, well, this is what they call Black History Month. And we know in many of our environments, because of our level of consciousness, that this is really somebody else's story. In order to have a real so called Black History Month, a real Indigenous Peoples Month, I want to encourage people to go talk to the historians, the real ones that are still with us. Now, I had an excuse to be over there at that rehabilitation home who has a second and third, maybe even fourth floor full of people who want to tell their story. So I would come there and my mom would say, where are you at? You come here, you drop your things out and off, and then you go somewhere. Well, I'm out front talking to the old people who are sitting out front, gazing over the streets, over the yards, listening to some stories about how they got here, asking them if they know they're an Indian. And I have failed to find one that didn't say they heard something like that. So I suggest that many of us already have some resources like old phones that have a recording option on it. Keep it charged up. You might want to say, do you mind if I record your story? I just find you so interesting. I'd like to record your story if you don't mind. Now, a lot of times, recording somebody's story can be uncomfortable for the person who's talking. So keep a pad and a pen, little notebooks, make some notes. Now, it might not be comfortable to walk around making yourself a reporter. or a recorder, but it's important. You might not be able to find your story, your personal story, by talking to the elders of your community. But the truth is, it would be your story. It's just the cousins down the lane, over there in Mississippi, over there in North Carolina, traveling the world for one reason or another. And it's a very small world. The older a person is, the more likely they've connected with some of your elders, that's for sure. Especially like migrations coming up north. People were coming from a lot of the southern states. Once an elderly man told me, he said that coming to Chicago, you could quit one job and walk across the street and get another the same day and start working it too. So I think that this is going to stand for my day two. Day 4, February 4th. Did y'all know it was a leap year? I didn't realize that. It's going to be 29 days this time, right? I'm not sure how that goes. But I think that encouraging you to keep a second phone, even if it's not connected, keep it charged, use the recording option, start talking to your elders, start talking to the elders. So we're going to have 29 days of Black History Month this time. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is, and I might still do one for today, because what that is a different, that's actually me using the phone editing app that I have. And I am trying to do a daily, well, can I call it like a daily awakening about what is either happening during Black History Month, and or as opposed to what should be happening during Black History Month, encouraging people to dig a little deeper, hoping to reach some school age children. By now, I'm thinking these people should be questioning, these young folk, they should be questioning some of this stuff. I asked yesterday in the upload that I put up for day 3 if anybody's heard anything new that is on the curriculum for what they teach the students in school. Not to say that they shouldn't hear about some of the stories that are on the curriculum. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we are we have the access of the internet. Things time is, times now we're moving much faster in terms of information. During Black History Month, why aren't the students researching, digging a little deeper, Why are they accepting Black history to start on a slave ship? I don't get that. So I'm hoping that I can find the time to put together those little 3, 4 minute clips of information to encourage deeper digging in Black History Month. So I'm not going to stay on long because that is my mission. I'm going to be working on that. I may do a live stream tomorrow earlier, but that idea of getting on earlier is kind of not happening. But my goal is to have my live stream done by 5 o'clock in the morning. So, Chief Sebi Indigenous, I did email you. I did email you. Let me just go back and send it to you again today. Okay. How are you? Peace and love. Is that Mago Maze? Now, Mago Maze, does that mean something? Yeah, I'm trying to provoke some conversations and thought about what we should be doing during Black History Month. What is our alternative to using the term Black History Month as well? That's the idea I want to play with. Like by the next week of Black History Month, I'm gonna be working on changing that to something else. Now I imagine that Indigenous People Month, right? Can you believe it? I don't really. I have on occasion with the subs. I have on occasion solicited for subscribership, but for the most part, me and having subs, I want my subs to be people who are interested in what I'm talking about, who are interested in the idea of moving forward into our indigenous paths, who we are for real, and not really spending so much time trying to debate it, but more time in living it. One of the things that I want to do is see a coalition of people going out to the mounds that are easy to find and seeing what it feels like to be there. I imagine it's a lot like watching those old people gazing, sitting there with all their thoughts. Okay, let's see here. And if you all have not subscribed to Chief Sebi Indigenous, you should. He is amazing. Uh, he's some kind of genius. Now, there's probably a reason, a specific reason that you are looking to do April. I was just saying that there used to be a saying. I don't hear it much anymore. Probably they might say it in school. It says, April showers bring May flowers. I was just saying that the other day. Yeah, you are. You're a genius. It's no way a person could contain the amount of information that you contain and not be a genius. So, I wish that I could, like, a lot of times I might listen in, but I'm working and I can't use my phone. I can only listen. I want you to know that. But, chiming in and letting someone know you're there, but listening, I think that's encouraging. So I appreciate when people do that. Now, what I didn't do that I said I was going to do today is I was going to put the phone number for the free conference call up so that in case someone wants to call in, I want to always have that available because I realize the how did I miss you, Huey P. Nuisance? Good morning, Grand Rising. I shouldn't say good morning. I know you. I know you would say that that's bad language. That's probably like saying a cuss word, morning and everything. Um, Huey P. Nuisance, he's another genius. Just amazing. Another person whose ability to work the words is amazing. I came and hung out there with them the other day listening in, and it's very provoking to try to do that with words yourself, but that takes something. I've never heard a woman do that, not like that, and I wonder if that's something that is exclusive to the men in the way the men think and can break down a thing. They breaking down words over there. It's just really they they breaking down spells. It's amazing. Future Teller saying, when you go to the mounds, see if you can get some people with drones so you can get aerial footage. Sis, that makes a lot of sense. Now I don't know what limitations there are when you go out to these mounds. Like I would not suggest that women folk go out to these mounds alone. I honestly feel like going out to the mounds. Um, oh wow, Chief Sebi, I'm gonna get right back to that, Future Teller. Chief Sebi Indigenous. Oh, you're gonna enjoy this. You're gonna enjoy Huey P. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's it's a here. Really. So, you know, you're saying that the way that you break down these words um is something you learn from your mama? Or are you saying that we learn these this talent from the women folk? Wow. Okay. I mean, every now and then I try to spit a little bar. I don't do it much. I ain't going too far. Listening to me trying to spit some bars, but every now and then, we used to come up with some rhymes and different things like that. But breaking down those words like that and really looking to, I'd love to know. Chief said he say, "Hey." We used to do it. I mean, you get into the flow of it, and it's not, that is something that really comes naturally and normal. Yes, really it is. It's a natural flow to be able to do it. Um, we just don't invest the kind of time. That's really what the issue is. We don't invest the kind of time. This is probably what powwows and stuff is all about. Getting together, spending time together. Now we came out of the church. That church thing is pretty much over. But now I'm looking at how people are spending the time, you know? Yes, I'm happy to hear that, Chief Sebi. Yeah, we have to, the position of a mother, and encouraging our sons. And I call my sons, I have sons, I have three. And you know I my life my life and mission includes encouraging them and stopping by them and making that phone call. Hey, what's up? What's going on with you? Haven't heard from you. What you doing? We got to do that. Lift up our sons. LaShawn is saying, not me. She played a part in it, though. Had a lot of male figures in my life growing up. And that is something to acknowledge. Um, we can't always speak for all mothers. We don't know where every mother is coming from. But just like how I'm talking about, the elders, and that talking to your elders, but not just your elders, not just your elders, the elders. So sometimes if you find a male child who doesn't have a mother figure that is operating in her grandness, then you point him in the direction and he'll be leaning toward that anyway, of a mother who is. Because mothers who have to give, they have a lot to give. And the young men that hang around with your sons when you're an awesome mom or you're a grandmom or you're determined to move in your greatness as a woman, it just oozes out of you. And all of the young male figures and females too, but I'm talking about the males right now. All of them get the benefit from that. So I am going to repeat something. Oh, thank you for the encouragement. Thank you for the encouragement. I'm thinking about this, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this until I can't do it for whatever reason. But I'm going to continue to do this, where I grow with the people. Okay, Chief Sebi, you say I can make great videos in the way you made the motivational video. And okay, so I'm going to email you again today. That's what I'm going to do. I did send you an email, but I'm going to do it again when I finish this stream, and we'll see if we can get a conversation about that today or tomorrow or whenever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say one more time to keep a second phone, keep it charged up as if it were important as your live phone or your active phone or mm, your phone that you're connected with, and be prepared to record at all times, even if it's just your own voice. even if it's just some things you want to remember to do. Use it like a notepad. Let's use these media. Keep a small notebook, a big notebook. Keep something that you can use to organize a notebook and some pens with ink in them. Some pencils and a small Dollar Tree pencil sharpener. Sometimes I think a pencil might be even better than a pen because you can make corrections. So I thank you guys. I thank you, family, for the encouragement today. And I'm going to look for a next time. And with that, I'm going to say peace and love to y'all.